Today, we will beat the casino using science, just like the 4,000 physicists who went to Las Vegas in 1986. Join us with Honformation. Roulette is a simpler game compared to card games, a pure game of chance that requires no skill. There is a table consisting of 36 numbers, 18 marked in red and 18 in black. You place bets on these numbers. For example, let's say you put $5 on the number 17. Or if you prefer, you can place $10 on 17. I will explain other combinations shortly, but in summary, you can distribute your money across the table as you wish. Then the famous roulette wheel is spun, and a ball is released. Whichever number the ball lands on determines the winners. Those who bet on that number win, while the others lose. That is the basic concept. However, if you examine a roulette table more closely, you'll notice there's more to it. For example, on the left side of the table and the roulette wheel, you will see green zeros. These are what give the casino an edge in probability. We will get to this later. In roulette, you are not required to bet on a single number. For example, if you place your money on the line between 11 and 14, you win if either 11 or 14 comes up. If you place your money in the center of 4 numbers, you win if any of those 4 numbers come up. If you bet at the bottom of a column, you win if any number in that column appears. If you bet on the sections labeled first 12, second 12, or third 12, you win if any of the 12 numbers in that group appears. Betting on even numbers means you win if an even number comes up, and the same applies to red and black bets. You can also bet on ranges like 118 or 1936. But how much does roulette actually pay you? If you pay attention, these different betting combinations do not have equal chances of winning. The odds of each bet determine how much money you win when you are successful. For example, since there are 36 numbers on the table, excluding zeros, if you bet on a single number, your chance of winning is 1 in 36. That means if your chosen number actually hits, you win 36 times your bet. If you bet 1 unit, you win 36 units, making your net profit 35 units. But here's the kicker. There aren't just 36 numbers. There are 2 green zero pockets, 0 and 00 in American roulette, which means the actual total is 38 numbers. That tiny detail changes everything. Because of the extra zeros, your real odds of winning a straight-up bet aren't 1 in 36, they're 1 in 38. That's a 5.6% drop in your chances right off the bat. Now you might think the casino would pay you 38 to 1 since there are 38 numbers, right? Nope, they still only pay 36 times, whether you bet on a number or even on green itself. That tiny 5% edge is what gives the house an advantage in every single game. And those green zeros? They're not just there for decoration. Since zeros don't count as red, black, odd, even, or part of any row or column, they tilt every single bet in favor of the house. That's why, over time, the casino always wins. Of course, you can still get lucky and walk away a winner for a while. Now, let's talk other bets. If you bet on red or black, you might think it's a 50-50 shot. But thanks to the zeros, the actual chance of winning is only about 47.4%. So yeah, better odds than betting a single number, but the casino still has an edge. If you bet on a column, you're splitting the table into 3 sections, and the payout is 3 to 1, meaning you triple your bet if you win. That's why those sections are labeled 1 to 2, because your net profit is 2 to 1. If you spread your bets across multiple spots, your wins and losses will mostly balance out in the long run. In short, the higher the risk, the bigger the reward. But the casino never plays a losing game. Now, let's get to the real question. How do we beat the odds using the martingale strategy? So far, 3 main betting strategies have been developed to try and crack roulette: the martingale strategy, the D'Alembert strategy, and the Paroli strategy. But at their core, they all follow the same logic. Since martingale is my personal favorite, that's the one I'll show you today. The idea is simple. You only bet on even money bets, things like red or black, odd or even, or 1 to 18 versus 19 to 36. To keep things easy, let's just focus on red versus black for now. Martingale tells us to pick one color and stick with it. Let's say red. You'll always bet on red, but there's one crucial rule. Every time you lose, you double your next bet. Let's break it down. Suppose the minimum bet at a casino is $1. You start by betting $1 on red. If red comes, there's no problem. I placed $1, won $2, and my profit is $1. But if black or green comes, I double my bet and this time place $2 on red. Now if red comes again, there's still no problem. I win $4. Up to that point, I had bet $1 plus $2, $3. Since I now won $4, my profit is again 1. 4 minus 3 equals $1. At this point, I returned to a $1 bet, but black came, so I raised my bet to $2. Black came again. Okay, I raised it to 4. Black came again. Now, are we starting to get nervous? There's nothing to do. I raised it to $8. Black came again. At this point, we start biting our nails. According to the martingale strategy, I now raise my bet to $16. This time, red finally came. Since I had last bet 16s, I won $32, double my bet. But what is my real profit? To win this $32, I had bet 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 equals $31. So my actual profit is still just $1. Can you see the pattern? With the martingale strategy, as long as you eventually win at some point, your profit will always be equal to your initial bet amount. If you start with $1, your final profit will always be $1, no matter how tense it gets. If you start with $10, your final profit will be $10. But of course, when you start with $10, doubling the bet escalates much faster. $10, $20, $40, $80, $80, $160, and so on. Do you have enough money for that? But keep in mind, if the roulette table is fair, this strategy will eventually make you win. It's a mathematical certainty. And that's where two major problems come in. The first issue with the martingale strategy is that doubling your bet leads to exponential growth, which gets out of control fast. At first, it seems harmless. $1, $2, $4, $8, $16, no big deal. But what if you keep losing? Suddenly, you're betting $32, $64, $128, $256, $5, $1,024, and beyond. And here's the kicker. Every spin of the roulette wheel is completely independent. Just because black has hit 5 times in a row doesn't mean red is due to come up next. You could see black hit 10, 20, or even 30 times in a row. I once watched 22 straight black spins at a Vegas casino. It happens. That's just statistics. So at some point, you have to ask yourself, how much money am I willing to lose before I walk away? If you had stopped after betting $16, you'd have lost $1 plus $2 plus $4 plus 8 equals $15. Sure, you could try to grind that back by placing small bets again. But casinos know exactly what they're doing. They keep you playing for hours, and the longer you play, the more likely you are to lose. Casinos aren't stupid. The second problem. Casinos set betting limits. Casinos have another trick up their sleeve: maximum bet limits. Why do you think tables have a minimum bet, like $1, $5, or $25, but also a maximum bet? It's not just random, it's specifically to stop strategies like martingale. Let's say a roulette table has a max bet of $5,000. By your 13th bet, you'd need to wager $4,096, and by your 14th, you'd have to put down $8,192, which exceeds the table limit. At that point, you're stuck. And if you hit the limit, your total loss is now over $8,191. So I'll ask again, do you really have that kind of money? Casinos, including the martingale strategy, block every possible betting system one way or another. But honestly, they don't even need to try that hard, because most gamblers defeat themselves with their own psychology. For example, as I mentioned before, each roulette spin is completely independent. Yet, many gamblers fail to grasp this. If black hits 10 times in a row, they convince themselves that red must be next. So they go all in, betting everything they have. But when black lands again, they lose everything. This is called the gambler's fallacy, or the Monte Carlo fallacy, the mistaken belief that past events affect future probabilities in an independent system. Even if black has hit 10 times, the odds of another black outcome are still around 47% due to the green zero. Now you might be wondering, is it possible to keep losing forever? Surely at some point, red must come up, right? Imagine watching a roulette table for 12 hours. You see 1,000 spins, and all 1,000 are black. Statistically, is this possible? Yes, but highly unlikely. At that point, would you still believe in statistics? Or would you suspect the table is rigged? Most people would choose the second option because they expect fairness. This is called return to the mean, a fundamental mathematical concept. In the long run, an unbiased game should trend toward its expected probabilities. So if a black streak lasts for 10, 15, 20, or even 30 spins, it will eventually break, but you have no way of knowing when. This realization makes no practical difference, which is why gamblers still fall into the trap. Some players try to outsmart randomness by waiting for patterns like red, black, before betting on a streak to break. But this doesn't actually improve their odds. It just feels like a strategy. And that's where the golden rule of science comes in. No matter what you do, don't fool yourself, because in the end, you are the easiest person to fool. At this point, you might be thinking, the casino always wins, but what about that time 4,000 physicists crashed Las Vegas? It's simple, they didn't play. One of the biggest moneymakers for casinos is their hotel business. They offer cheap or even free rooms to gamblers, keeping them inside the casino, playing longer and losing more. But in 1986, the American Physical Society held a conference at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. 4,000 physicists flooded into town. Casinos thought they were about to make a fortune. But these physicists understood probability perfectly, and most of them were broke anyway. Unlike regular tourists, they barely gambled at all. Instead, they took up thousands of hotel rooms at bargain prices, without losing money at the tables. For Las Vegas, it was a financial disaster. If you really want to beat the casino, remember this: the best winning strategy is to never play at all. See you in the next video. Goodbye.